Hello, everybody. It's that time. It's Thursday. It's our weekly program where we dabble and play around with the Adventure Game Engine and other games that are powered by the Adventure Game Engine. It's a little thing we made up here at Green Ronin Publishing, and it powers such games as, Fantasy Age, Modern Age, Dragon Age, Blue Rose, 5th season. Who am I forgetting?
Cthulhu Awakens.
Cthulhu Awakens.
The Expanse?
The Expanse. Thank you very much. You no doubt hear the voices of two lovely human beings. I shall expose them now. Hello.
We're exposed.
You're exposed.
Oh, jeez. Not on camera.
Not on camera for the internet to see. Yes.
No.
So listen.
My daughter will find this in 10 years.
Well, listen. I don't know that she'll be proud, but she'll at least know that, this happened.
You've been there.
Friends, I'm Disembodied Troy, and I work for Green Ronin Publishing. And I have my two good friends, the Duke in Purple, Ren LeBeau, both of them working with me on our massive undertaking. Started out as something simple, something small. It was a little battle map. And then the Fire Nation attacked. No, and then we ended up creating an entire setting. And it's been fun. And you know what I said? Heck, let's keep on keeping on. We're not going to even stop. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep making and creating and having fun. And that's what we've done. And so we continue that today. Now, Ren, you might have missed, you weren't with us when Malcolm joined us. Or were you? You were with us. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. It's all one long day.
I was there when, I think Duke was there, but I was there when Malcolm shared the template.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so you were there for that.
I was sick at the time. I was just in chat.
Got you. Okay. So one here in spirit. And we've got a template, and we've decided that we're going to be using Sage, which is the simple adventure game engine. And we have been kind of picking Malcolm Shepard's brain for all of his design goodness and a lot of good stuff. I like this. Converting a battle map into a setting and then turning the setting into a Sage format. That's exactly right. Eloquently put.
The creative process.
It is a process for sure.
Been futzing about a lot.
We have been, and so we moved through this, and the couple things I wanted to do today. So some of this work is going to be boring. It's boring, kind of cut and pastry. Excuse me. I'm going to also share this with you two. So I'm going to do that so I don't expose your email.
A great start for a show. Hey, today's going to be boring.
Today we're going to be boring and we're doxing our guests.
Sounds like a great idea.
We can get that done in about 5 minutes, I think. All of that. Share anyway. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link for you two in chat. And my request for you to find friends is to get into that document and start dropping some of your. Let's just talk about like what your information. So I know I've dropped some of your information. So for folks who are maybe they didn't remember, or maybe you're listening to this and going, "What the hell are they talking about?" These two friends of ours, these two fine friends, are going to be. They're in charge of the two capital cities. Ren, you are focused on Etheria. And Duke, you are focused on Fornax. And why don't we do this? Let's see. Oh, hey, before we dive into this, I just forgot real quick to give folks an update. The Mutants and Masterminds 4th edition Kickstarter campaign gangbusters. Just blew the lid off the place.
Oh, yeah.
We made $1 billion. Now, somebody pledged $1 billion if I did for me to sing, I think, and quickly changed their mind when informed. But we had 3,669 backers. Nice.
Oh, nice.
They pledged a total of
Nice.
$321,691. Hey, Devious.
That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. It means we get to bring a lot of really great content, a brand new 4th edition, and we get to do it while, paying the bills and having food, which is really, really, it's nice to have those resources when you are making a game. Really excited about it.
Good.
What was that?
Food is good.
Food is good. Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you, Tempo. Yeah, Tempo says Mutants and Masterminds 4th edition, hopefully a turning point. I think that it is a wonderful moment with lots of great stuff. We've got plenty of goodies that are coming for folks who backed, and we'll give everyone information about late pledge stuff as we roll through. But yeah, okay. So with that being said, let's jump. One of the most exciting things that you can do on a stream is show a Google document, which is really, really fun, so engaging and, evocative. And are you both in there? I see you too. Excellent. I'm going to open this up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Maybe that's too big. Let's see. No. All right. So what this is, and this is something that's kind of interesting. I think folks are going to want to follow it. This is a resource that Malcolm created in support of story building and setting details for creating using Sage. Oh, that's right. I forgot. That's right. It was they wanted to see me in the live action version of Freedom Lake, and I would be Johnny Rocket, who's a speedster. So already that's stacked against me because I'm a slowster. And then yeah, for 1 billion, and someone wants to see me in Speedos. Yeah. That's what happened.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Don't count your budgies until they've been smuggled, I guess. So here is the template. And this is a template that folks will use to create when they're building for Sage. We get a sneak peek, and by dint of your watching this program, you do as well. But yeah, this is for VIP eyes only. So there you go. So what I've done is opened the wrong document, but it works for us because it's oh no, I didn't. I lied. I opened the right document.
Got it.
Okay. I was just about to say, oh no.
Where the heck is it? But some of the things that we've covered, for instance, with Malcolm talking about that, really we want to stick to as close as we can that 200 words or less. And we have a tendency to over-deliver when it comes to words. And so it's a little bit of an interesting challenge. Then we've got the nature of the world, which is, 1,000 words or less. The places, which is important. I think that there's a lot to be shared here. I don't see that we have there's not really a restriction. No, there isn't. So for Etheria, this is, Ren, is this the piece that I had written up that we had plopped in there, or is this reflective of something you wrote up? I pulled it out of the document.
Gotcha. If you pulled it right out of the document we've been using before, I think then that would be the write-up that you did.
Okay. So Etheria descriptive intro. Perched precariously upon the craggy, ice-scoured spines that rise like mountains from the great Slumberer's back, Etheria is a city of wind, stone, and resilience. Its citizens are hardy, accustomed to thin air and biting gales, their homes and fortifications carved directly into the dragon's immense segmented vertebra. The views are breathtaking but unforgiving, with vast cloud-swept expanses stretching below. Life in Etheria is a constant test of endurance and ingenuity, a stark, insular existence defined by the raw power of the elements and the dizzying heights. Does that feel good?
I like it.
And then Fornax, deep within the colossal petrified maw of the great slumberer lies Fornax, a city of humid warmth and perpetual twilight. Its citizens live nestled amongst the dragon's immense fossilized teeth and along the cavernous curves of its palate and throat. The air here is thick with the scent of damp earth and unique phosphorescent fungi, illuminated by the soft glow of bioluminescent flora that clings to every surface. Geysers of warm steam intermittently hiss from cracks in the bedrock. Harnessed by the city's inhabitants for power and comfort, life in Fornax is a constant, intimate dance with the very anatomy of the beast, a warm, bustling existence inside a slumbering dragon of absurd scale. Dang. That's some good writing, if I do say so myself. I don't know if you ever have that experience where you come back and you look at something and you're like,
oh yeah,
I like that. I like it.
I've been lucky enough to have that experience once or twice.
Yeah, it's fun too if you work on several projects and you've got kind of drafts and things and you're just like, wow, I like this. I should do this. Do more of this. I hope that experience, I hope everybody has that experience because it is very rewarding. Okay. So now we talked about, here's some other things that we might need to all align our brains on. We've talked about an outpost city that is sort of the third place for where players would start. And
yes,
by start, I mean, that would be just like think of it as a quest hub. Good. I'm making sure. I was looking at Ren's face. I was making sure that wasn't like a what? How very dare you?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. And then between the outpost city and the two capital cities is the wasteland environment. Now, we talked a little bit about this is the space where you could run into irradiated, like when the dragon hit, it destroyed a civilization. And we could run into the remnants of that civilization. And we haven't really gotten into how advanced was the civilization? Was it, are we going to stumbling around in the wastelands and come across the Statue of Liberty? Or
oh no!
So that's interesting. Yeah,
you monsters!
You monsters! Get
What
your
have
scales,
you
get your
done?
dirty scales. Yeah,
Damn
exactly.
you!
Damn you! All right, and so now we move into peoples, and we've got, and I'm not sure how ratified we are on all of these things because I think that we, at least my experience has been with our conversations is that we've kind of forgotten a little bit as we were moving through. There's a lot of detail here, but the Waft Wardens, the boss of the Undercroft, like there's some naming conventions here that I think we were getting real fancy with at the beginning that probably need to be revisited. And so my question for you is, can we don't have to do that this here, but I think that we need to do kind of a as one-to-one as we can get for both cities, that there be they kind of a, if there's a, like, who's the Melanie Ingram of Fornax? You know what I mean? That kind of a comparative analysis so that both cities kind of have a balance in their leadership. That makes sense. Talk about indecent. Indeed. Does that make sense to you two?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's go with it.
Great. So I think that when it comes to some of the peoples, we need to, and maybe we do it. I don't think we should do it now, but maybe we, as a little homework, we find some Fornaxian figures to kind of plug in. And we can do some placeholder names or whatever, or get as specific as you like, Duke. But I'll leave that to you. And I'm going to actually say here, I'll leave a little note.
Opening up my Obsidian, putting a thing in there.
Peoples to Fornax using the same or similar structure as we did in Etheria. Awesome. Okie dokes. Okay, so the factions are pretty clear, but again, I want to make sure that we know that there be some comparative stuff. So we've got for the Fornaxians, the guilds, of course, that's all of the merchants and things. I think we feel pretty good about that, right?
Yeah, that's
sure.
Yeah.
Now there's the Waft Wardens, and that I guess is these are the spiritual folk who are a little touched because they spent a little too much time deep within the, in close proximity to whatever the dragon has inside its gullet that will kind of make you loopy in the head. And then the Undercroft is sort of that black market group. And for Etheria, we've got, okay, I guess it feels like kind of 1-to-1. You've got the Deep Frost Cartel, which is, that's like the Undercroft. The Puna, which is that is the religious group, right?
So yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then the Chine Clan, that's the Chine Clan's council is the kind of the gathering of the
families.
Yeah, the big families. Yeah. I like it. Okay, so when we're looking at peoples, maybe I might have done something. Okay, hold on. Let's look at this real fast. With all our brains on fantasy gaming, we might be thinking about elves and other fantasy people, but sometimes it's not about elves. So maybe what this is about is not so much about, okay, so tell us about the prominent people of your setting, usually starting with perspective PCs. Okay. All right, excellent. So we'll fill that out as part of this effort in the homework section. And then when we move to characters, no, figures, that's interesting. So I'm wondering, okay, who's important to the world or story besides the protagonists? All of the people that we name in the peoples section. Because he does mention NPCs. And so what would you imagine that the difference is between peoples and the figures? Individuals who go ahead.
Yeah.
In what regard?
Well, so we've got a section here that's called Peoples, and it talks about perspective or perspective PCs, unless they have some unusual origin. Just all the prominent folk, and we've listed some of these important families and people, and there'll be some that we'll be doing for Fornax as well. But if you go to the figures, who's important to the world or story besides the protagonists, besides allies, antagonists, foils, and other people defined by what they do for the story, make note of individuals who are important as an emergent quality of the setting and your plans. For instance, if you're setting a game in 15th century Rome, Pope Alexander, the Borgia, is going to matter even if he didn't figure in the opening stages of your planning. These emergent figures can create storylines of their own. Okay, major figures shouldn't make the player's character's actions feel meaningless unless that's a theme you all want to explore, but they should still be potent enough to help you move the story forward. Okay.
So it has a bit of overlap with peoples, but
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's
more as a
figures,
like a backdrop, like backdrop people that influence the setting and are less contact people towards the player characters.
Sure. Okay, so people of great import that and I appreciate the advice here as well, that the major figures shouldn't be so major that they negate anything that players are doing, but that they do inform the story and how it goes. So I wondered, one of the things that I put here is I believe I put it, we need to figure that out for the outpost. And the one character that we've got, or the one kind of person, is Malcolm the Shepherd. Who is the shepherd? Yeah, for those who may not remember or who are watching for the first time, the shepherds are a small, a short, little, cute, I guess, sort of a little dragonling. They look like a humanoid, but they tend to all of the needs of both the Fornaxians and the Etherians, and they're just there to help in every way. Help prevent injury, make sure everyone's well fed, and nobody knows a lot about them, except every once in a while they get creepy and sort of stare up and, you know, do the 1,000-yard stare and start to hum.
You know, I have a thing which is kind of funny because our idea of the shepherds emerged way before the show came up. Have you seen Pluribus?
No,
okay, so without spoiling the show, it features people being in a hive mind and being very friendly and helpful and joyous and like very excited to help those who are not within the hive mind. And it seems to me that there is a like an analogy here with them being like, although our shepherds don't speak, they're mute, but they're doing all they can to make the lives of everyone who's there so much better and so much more enjoyable, and so that they stay. Without an ulterior motive at all.
None at all. No, just trust them. Just trust them. What have they ever done anything wrong or mean or cruel? Yep. Now the question is, Malcolm the shepherd is when you are no longer part of the hive mind, what do you get a personality? Do you get to talk? Do you get or is there just a lot of mute pointing?
I assume you start anew, more or less. Like maybe you need a couple of months to start actually talking, because I think they understand language. It's not like they're oblivious to verbal communication. It's just that they don't do it. I think when they individualize, they learn slowly how to speak, and Malcolm has been out of the hive for a while, so
I like that. Yeah.
He's probably a very enigmatic and verdant
and
speaker.
Went through his own journey as he transitioned from, you know, hive mind to individual thinker and communicator, and which is why it's interesting to find Malcolm at the outpost as part of that, you know, part of the player's choices.
He had to flee. He couldn't stay in Fornax or Etheria, because the other shepherds who would clock him as an outlier would try to either reintegrate or get rid of him.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that Malcolm, it would be interesting too to have a bunch of people who were rugged outpost veterans, you know, like they know all of the things they can talk about some of the and hint towards weird stuff that's out there that the players may never see, but you know, talk about irradiated waste or
waste and weirdness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been reading the chat as well. Sorry guys, I'm not mentioning it, but this is good. Yeah. So Frostfire, Coldspire. Am I here still? Okay, everything's moving around. It's very strange. But
I think I might have fallen away for just a second.
Oh, no worries. And during this morning's live stream, I was kind of dropping and coming back a lot. So figures you probably won't meet. Okay, all right. So people are cultural groups, while figures are prominent individuals. Okay. Where it kind of threw me here was this, usually starting with perspective PCs. I'm not sure what that he's talking about. Player characters.
Yeah.
We'll consult. I'm going to actually put a little note here and say what. Oops, Jiminy Cricket. Let's learn how to type. Let's get some. But I think you're right, chat, that we're looking at peoples are the broad brush organized peoples, you know, and the are in this are in this context. Now the interesting question then, I suppose, is if we're going to be using Sage to kind of put all these pieces, architect all these pieces together, then is it are we creating our own classes? Or are we retooling existing classes to fit into this vibe? What do you think?
I mean, since we are trying to use Sage, and Sage does come very much with its own thing, or at least the ability to have its own thing. I think we could like make up new classes that fit for Sage, but borrow elements from Blue Rose and Fantasy Age.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's a good idea. And yeah, because I feel like, I don't know why, Ren, but for some reason, even as stoic and cold and icy as Etheria is, I feel like there's some elements of the Blue Rose kind of, order of things. I don't know why. I don't know if you've thought about that at all, but
like a Jarzen sort of situation.
Yeah, kind of. Does that seem to?
No, I think that there's something to that.
Yeah, there's a vibe there for sure. But yeah, and that's the other thing as well for folks who are listening. Everything that's happened in the Adventure Game Engine ecosystem, we're just gonna borrow and steal and yeah, absolutely raid it.
Take everything we can get and give nothing back.
That's right. Well, we'll give back a nice setting with powered by H, but yeah.
Blue Rose has got Shadow Gates, and Fantasy Age has got the Deep, and Modern Age has got Threefold. So like everything can fall into everywhere at this point.
It sounds like you are calling in from a Shadow Gate. Your voice is got a little. Now you're back. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good.
Oh no, it's just on the edge. It's very interesting. Yes, churn. Yeah, absolutely. I see several things like looking at the churn tracker. I could see there being a kind of a challenge sequence or something about being in the elements. Like you're up top and you're dealing with the cold, and the more you're out in the cold, the tracker moves and does it again, and then maybe like if you are out there long enough, then suddenly
things start to happen.
Yeah, you start to get a little chilly, and weird stuff happens. But yeah, love that. Okay, if you have 4 groups of peoples, say the Air Tribe, Fire Tribe, Water Tribe, Earth Tribe, the choice of which people you come from will dictate a lot about your character. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know that we have really settled on this, but we decided to do the outpost as a way of hand waving, like, you could start here, the neutral space, right? You're not from Fortnite or Etheria. And is that the general notion? Are we saying that these are folks, the player characters are they from off planet?
No, they're from the cultures that live beyond the wasteland, because there are still other civilizational areas that are less affected by the dragon being there, but because the wasteland is like a big area that separates them from the dragon, there is there has to be a reason for people to take this arduous journey on them to get to the dragon, probably because resources or magic or
just superstition or
MacGuffin here. Exactly. And so the player characters will probably come from another civilization that lives beyond the wasteland, which can be anything.
What we can do is think a bit about what those civilizations suggest. Like, if you're from the civilization, you are going to be, really strong because they all live under rocks or whatever, and that will kind of inform the class choices or how that's been. But we won't go into it in a deep sense.
Just rough representation of what kinds of areas exist outside of the wastelands, and those are areas where the player characters come from, and those inform like basic things about the characters. Then obviously you can also come directly from the outpost, or you could have grown up in Fornix or Etheria or one of the villages around. That's also possible. but that will also change your outlook on how things are, obviously. So that would be interesting, because then you have player character who maybe is like, what are you talking about? This is completely normal what's happening here. I don't know what. And you have the outside player characters who are like, this is not normal. This is a dragon, and why are you living here? This is weird.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there's something like I want us at some point, not now, but in the future, to flesh out what's going on at the outpost. I think maybe for the outpost, we lean heavily on chat, kind of leave that as their sort of domain to kind of help
to
arbitrate.
The arbiters.
The arbiters will arbitrate. What are the people? Flora, fauna, etc. Awesome. So we'll devote an episode to the outpost. And Paul says, I mentioned people not living on around the dragon are isolated. Not living on the dragon are isolated groups of wanderers and nomads. I think so. I think that we're looking at the wastelands are what are the immediate decimation around the dragon itself, right? Which spreads for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
Yeah. It's a big area that is still like basically unlivable, and that is all. But all unlivable areas are not really unlivable. Hence, people living there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason,
we'll do then is we'll say this. We'll say that there's
find ways.
The blast radius around the dragon, and then at its outer, sort of the outer edges of the impact crater or whatever the area. Some civilizations have started to take root and form out of necessity, and then the outpost is a space that's deep within the wastelands on the way to Fornax and Etheria, because they still have to trade, they still have to do a bunch of stuff, and so naturally we would have created some ways to get to them, but that makes sense. And so imagine that there are still groups of wandering nomads and also weird creatures. And
definitely very weird creatures.
Monsters. Yeah,
both
from
the claws and stuff.
Yeah, right. We talked about that maybe there was, given that the shepherds are there, some kind of creation of the dragons. There could have been some on the run up to get the shepherds perfect. There's some bad versions, like some
proto shepherds.
Proto-shepherds that are really gross,
super weird dragonling monsters with like 3 heads and 5 limbs and a tail with the poisonous spine, and it's horrible.
Yeah. They want to take care of you by taking your head off and sitting on it like an egg or something, like that. It's just monstrous. So I like that. Now let's see. We're rolling. We talked about the factions. We talked about. I think the distinction between peoples and the
figures.
Yeah, I think that is that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. One of my figures, and then we've got powers, which is an interesting question. So not all builds will feature characters with extraordinary abilities, access to secret technologies, or effective magic. But if they do, you should give some thought as to what they are and how they work. In some games, the nature of these powers and the world created by their existence is the heart of the story. And I think that's an important question. I think I agree with that.
Where we get magic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, so is there a kind of magic that is remnant tech?
Could be. I mean, if you
I like the idea of the wastes being scattered with what's left of the civilization that the dragon crashed into, just sort of exploded out in all directions and in pieces.
Mm-hmm. Little pockets they find of, places that weren't necessarily destroyed. But there being no power, I could also see there be a kind of currency that is somehow battery powered or some kind of something, like that's a big, I would imagine that'd be a big deal, and that those batteries could be magic on their own, to a degree.
That would lend itself a lot to what initially Titan's Grave did back then, with the wastes where these old technologies still lie that you can gather, and that you have like these battery powered things next to magical things. That kind of works well, that you have like a broken android ambling through the desert that is like has been awake for thousands of years but is broken, so it's walking in circles, and it's very weird.
Right. Or you just find a piece of it, the voice part, and it talks and shares information that I like that. So we'll talk remnant techno powers, which is basically a DJ, I guess, and then we'll move on to what are some other powers that like where people are kind of, there's just the rugged, rough and tumble.
I think
survivor.
general magic existed in the world before, but more specified magic now exists near and around the dragon that is derived from whatever the dragon radiation puts into the world. So certain kinds of magic dragon is doing, and other kinds of magic should be delineated to what comes from the world. So they're separated, and that there's a new magic that has no equivalency in the old world. So there's a surprise when somebody can suddenly cast Fireball, which never was a thing before, because people only could, I don't know, like maybe do a little bit of lightning or stuff, so that there's a definite separation between these kinds of powers. Maybe they also work differently. So it's maybe a mage from the old world can't learn the stuff from the new world, and vice versa.
Oh, froze. But
because they are powered by different things.
We missed the last little bit of what you said in the last. I think I heard "cuz," and that was it.
I think the last thing I said is that there are different things powering these kinds of magic, so they're not compatible with each other. So people from one place doing one kind of magic can't do the other kind of magic because it's a different kind of magic.
So what we've got here, then we've got remnant techno powers, we've got general magic that existed before, and then whatever the dragon magic is.
Yeah.
Okay. And are there any other, like the remnant techno powers, it could be hand wavy magic, because it's just technology that
flavors itself. Yeah, it's a magical effect that is flavored as technology.
Yeah, I can imagine there being some armor or some body mod stuff, maybe not too heavy, but just enough to suggest that had there been a civilization that still existed, that these would be some pretty interesting things going on, but they're maybe as such they're not quite as powerful or potent as they could be. What do you think?
Adding some of the science fantasy.
Yeah, a little bit of the science fantasy. Yeah.
Like illusionary magic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Illusionary magic, like it's a simple hologram, exactly.
Right. Let me see here. Powers.
The ancients call this an iPod.
And we use it to start a fire.
Just have to hit it hard enough.
They take the little iPod and just start striking it against some flint.
Right, exactly. Or some live wires that they pulled out that kind of helps.
There we go.
They hit the battery and then it goes ablaze. It only works once, but that's how you go with it.
Okay, cool. So this is where things get a little tricky. Who are the characters? Answer in 100 words or less. So that's a lot of stuff that we're leaving out. And so I feel like biotech. Oh, I like that. Maybe the people for Nexus have developed a kind of weird biotech alchemy based on the various materials and substance. Yeah, I like that. Well, and I can also see that the Ethereans have developed, a lot of technology and powers that are about surviving in the ice wastes. I had this thought, Ren, and I just need to get it out of my head because I've been thinking about it for about 2 weeks and I keep forgetting to mention it. I imagine there being a a sort of a kind of a devotee to the Ethereans that is a sect or a group of assassins that are like live in
Ooh.
the cold. Like they, I mean, when they go and they go out to assassinate, they are, you know, like blue skinned, face covered, you know, kind of, you know, sort of whites in the night. You know what I mean? Like just sort of
Ooh,
these.
okay.
Yeah,
I
but
like that.
that's
I
kind of
like that
part
very
of their
much.
kind of their theatrical kind of whatever. I mean, they're going to kill somebody. I mean, don't get me wrong, but they've also mastered their their bodies in such a way that they can regulate and sort of live and survive in the cold for some time to get their target, which seemed kind of fun to me. But anyway, I leave that to you to take and or to note as you wish. And so that's so Fornax and Etheria, you know, we can talk about the biotech, alchemy kinds of stuff. And I would imagine that the closer you are to the dragon, the more of the more decimated that the wastelands are, and the less tech you might find because it's just been incinerated or destroyed or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which also then suggests the importance of, you know, traveling. And do we want to, you know, when we think about sort of what's the resource people are fighting for, or, you know, what is that piece of this puzzle? And maybe it is like batteries. Maybe it is like the what's the kind of battery you can't take on an airplane?
A big one.
Yeah. These no large batteries.
You can. Yeah. I mean, over I think 20,000 milliamp hours you can't take on planes. Lithium ions are the ones who go ablaze if you're not careful with them.
Yeah,
exactly. Which are basically all power banks that you have are still lithium ion
they
ones.
are. Yeah, exactly.
You rarely have LFP.
The lithium ion
banks because
gotcha. The lithium, there's a lithium ion ion, ion. Okay, whatever. And it's low self-discharge used in phones, laptops, and EVs. And then there's the lithium polymer LiPo, which is lightweight, flexible, and common in drones and wearable tech. Then there's nickel metal hydride. So there's a bunch of different battery types. There's, you know, and I imagine we can even, you know, kind of have a strata of, like, you know, there's the Duracell, which are, you know, don't last long or maybe already burnt out, but then they could find other batteries that, you know, powered big computers or what have you. Does that sound like something we want to throw into the mix, or does that sound like boring?
I mean, it could be something that people are looking for to power their homes that are unpowered currently. Like if you take like some future tech, then you could have like a nuclear battery that would power a house for, I don't know, 300 years. And those would be sought after because then you don't have to worry about that anymore. It could be
that the batteries are more not about the power that they did have, but the fact that they can hold power, and that's like an important. I could see, you know, little spots in the outpost where people have strung together a bunch of batteries to power, you know, the saloon or whatever, you know.
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting. Paul is talking about, that's kind of what I thought. Paul mentions that Ethereans could have they can survive the terrible conditions. They have secret body control disciplines to regulate body heat, and absolutely, they kind of have the antifreeze, natural antifreeze, like some of the creatures on our Earth. And then Ethereans might also have some sort of dowsing. Okay, interesting. Because they would really be keenly focused, I think, on the resources they would find on the dragon, you know, or in the spire, depending on where you. Okay.
Yeah.
So we do have some other characters to figure out. I think let's flesh that out. Let's flesh that out off the stream, because I really want to give you guys the latitude to just kind of make some decisions and not necessarily have to be the writer's burden, which is having a bunch of people in chat tell you what makes stories happen in this game. I think we've got that down. What makes stories happen in this game?
Got a lot of factions, and they all want different stuff, and
the big old dragon who's landed on the planet, and
the dragon wants its own things.
That's right, all of its own yummy things. And the other thing too, that this is one thing that we should ratify probably, and maybe get some feedback from chat, and that is, do you think that so we decided, or we talked about there being a way for the players to, or the GM to decide what story they want to have unfold, and they could either go with the players are following a trail, and as they get closer, they make decisions that turn this into a story about a dragon that is forming its dinner while it takes a nap, or it's just a dead dragon, or it's a dragon that's been held against its will, and please help us all, and help the dragon and destroy Etheria in Fornax. Do we like that idea that there be a certain mechanism that the players could engage with that would start the storyline, or determine which way, or just have the GM pick, or kind of allow for all of that?
I think the one who picks would be the GM, but my idea would be that they pick from whatever they read from the player room would be preferred. Because as things progress, you will hear from the players what they think should be happening, so you could then go either with the flow and go like, oh, you guys think the dragon's evil? Well, get your expectations subverted. It's not evil,
right?
Or it's the other way around, or you go like with. Or you feel like they're very much like latching onto the idea of that dragon needs to die, then I think the GM would probably go for exactly that, because otherwise the players might be disappointed. And he's like, okay, you really want to kill the dragon, then let's make the dragon the bad guy. So it actually makes sense.
Malcolm Shepard as sort of the outpost as the on-ramp for this adventure, for this setting, at least, for one of the adventures in the setting. Do we see then in my mind, this is how I envision it. You've got a group of 4 to 5 players. They are all assembled. Maybe there is they come to the outpost, and they have got varying reasons and purposes for needing to head out to the dragon. Maybe there's somebody delivering an important thing. There's somebody picking up an important thing. There's somebody who's looking for their little brother, or just whatever. And then they meet at the outpost accidentally by, they're not thrown together because they're a crew of marauding adventurers. They're thrown together because something happens at the outpost and Malcolm's involved.
First that. Also, I think nobody goes into the wastelands alone. There will always be caravans.
See.
It's
gonna be a mundane
arrangement. Them coming together is because they are a travel group that has to go together, because going alone would mean certain death.
Yeah. Okay, so then that's is the premise. They are looking for a guide. They all happen to be going to the same place. They come to the outpost. They meet Malcolm. Then they're all unlikely, party folk, because they happen to be there, and they're it's just a matter of timing and happenstance.
Yeah,
do we like that?
I mean, yeah, right? You
okay?
I mean, I think it works. I think it will work just fine. Let's see. I'm still kind of formulating some of my own thoughts about it, but I do like the idea of folks coming together for maybe an expedition out into the wastes.
Yeah, absolutely, and that they run into Malcolm as a necessary emissary of the now we move on to the next phase, and then that's when the decisions and choices are made on the way that determine perhaps what and the GM might even say, this is the story I want to tell. I'm going to tell it this way, and I'm going to. So how with that being the case, how do we then assemble the sort of pathways that lead to the different potential storylines? Like what is the thing that happens on the journey that determines the path, or how is that expressed on your way to the dragon that it's this, because you need some time to
I have
learn.
some ideas.
Please go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah.
My initial thought was that maybe that there's something out in the waste that could change the status quo that someone has found. And that maybe your caravan is specifically like meant to is partly meant to like collect it and bring it back to the dragon. But that maybe the drop off for this item is leaked to several of the factions, who all send their own representatives. Maybe some of them to maybe interview and ask, what is this thing? What do you plan to do with it? And maybe some folks who just want to smash it.
Yeah. And
so then the heroes are all at once confronted by the various factions and all of their different desires. And you can kind of like put the list in front of everybody, show some of the best and worst of all of these different factions, and then quietly watch and see which one the players seem to take a shine to.
Okay, that's fun. I mean, that could even be where the Etherean assassin squad pops up, which is on their travel to the dragon. They're like, nope, we're going to go ahead and cut this off, and then
I like that.
Just take it.
Okay, I like this. I'm right. I think you're on it. I think that's the way that we will kind of that both at the outpost and then at moments in the wastelands, opportunities to run up against these factions, whether they're the cartel or the who knows, Fornaxian leaders, assassins. I think we can flesh that stuff out. But that to me makes
Michael
a lot
has
of sense. Yes.
Yeah. Michael has an important part. Doesn't have to be so early in the introduction of the setting. Perhaps a series of adventures slowly reveals the truth. I think that's important. That the initial track is not determined immediately while they're traveling towards the dragon. It's just that different options open themselves up already as possibilities. Which one it is in the end, it will come much later, but that the different options are presented at least. And that's at least how I would go. Yeah.
Let's talk about it in the context of time. So Michael in chat talks about it being so early in the introduction of the setting. And I think that we're kind of doing a little fast forwarding and rewinding. And so there's a lot that can happen in the outpost. There's a lot that can happen on the, from the outpost to whatever the journey is to the actual dragon. What do we think in this case, if you weren't being hunted by assassins and the cartel coming to either obfuscate your life or your work? What is the time? How long does it take to get from the outpost to the maw?
Month?
Outpost
is kind of like a location between the two, right?
Between the civilization you knew and the dragon.
Oh, like the civilization that's outside?
Yeah, so the civilizations that you have come from, the places that have cropped up outside of the blast radius, and you got to go to the dragon, wherever you might have, kind of what we talked about earlier, that there are other civilizations, maybe not as fantastic as the capital cities, but still enough that they're enclaves of people that have grown up, I don't know, in the wilds of the wherevers. And
are our characters, the adventure assuming the characters don't come from the dragon?
Well, we talked about that they could potentially come from the dragon, but we don't. Yeah, my thought is they come from places elsewhere and not the dragon.
Okay, because we have not been developing the setting outside the dragon yet.
We haven't, I know, and so that's the part that we talked about at the beginning of this, which was that the world looks like this. There's the blast radius where the dragon landed. There's the two capital cities within and atop the dragon. Then the outpost, which is sort of the place that you stop before you have to go back into the into the more wilder wilds,
Okay.
the more creepier wilds. But that between the outpost, or but the outpost is between the dragon and the other civilizations that have happened, that have come together, and maybe not necessarily they're thriving, but they're not a part of the the dragon situation in so much as they're not influenced by the dragon. They're just kind of coming together as they would after a big cataclysmic disaster.
And they just exist. They have not been completed by the incident with dragon, but heavily influenced maybe. They at least are at a place that exists.
Yeah. And my suggestion is that those civilizations are very hand wavy. Like, let's not. I mean, that's I think taking on much more than my brain can handle. But we might want to develop them at some point to the degree that we get classes or people that are they come from the I don't know what the laboring where everybody lifts heavy stuff, or they are, oh my goodness, we are. So, all right. We have actually made some progress here. I feel really good about it. I do want to settle. I wanted to settle the notion of the. We can also just marinate on it until next Thursday, but and do some work in between. But I want us to decide because we really haven't ratified so much I feel like the one loose thread are the civilizations outside of the blast radius, right? And if we're comfortable with that, then we should probably spend some time thinking about what that looks like in a way that can be described to players. They can kind of wrap their minds around it, or we decide that it's something else.
I also like Michael and Chet's idea of leaving it relatively blank, so the dragon situation can be plopped into any other existing setting. That's maybe not a too bad idea. So you can have your backdrop that you already knew, but suddenly the world is different. So you throw it in whichever world you want to throw it in.
Depending on how big this dragon is, if it crashes into a planet, is that like going to be an extinction level event, or is it or does the dragon control before it crashes?
That's a really.
I guess that would be up to individual folks, but
I think that it could.
I do feel like smashing a huge magic star dragon into any setting is going to irrevocably change that setting.
And that's, to me, I think, is what we're
definitely.
Like, imagine Earth where a dragon has landed and it's cataclysmic. And maybe it didn't wipe everybody out, but it wiped out enough of the population that, that a big city in the mouth of a dragon looks like a capital city, right?
Yeah.
Any chance of rogue shepherds siding with others or against the dragon? Yeah, that's Malcolm. He's a rogue shepherd. There could be others too. There could be others that are the proto shepherds that have kind of put together. They become a tribal kind of group, or maybe they are a conglomeration of all the different proto shepherds that were out there that didn't quite make the grade, and they become a formidable force of some kind. But yeah, absolutely. And I do like Michael and Chet's suggestion that we leave this blank. My only question then is, how are we? I do like the idea of being able to plop this right in the middle of a setting you're already doing, and work with the people you already got and players that are already running in your world. But what do we do if you just want to play it and you don't have a sort of prefab?
Yeah, I think we should have like a rough,
very rough
area around. Thing should be existing, but it shouldn't be super detailed. So it can be exchanged against anything else you want to. Plus, it's like a lot of work just for backdrop information, basically.
Yeah, for
if we're not going to have adventures there.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or, maybe in the future when this multi-million-dollar TTRPG idea takes off, because who doesn't love a dragon with, people living in its mouth? So here's my thought. I would like to, I kind of like to change things up and kind of do things in sort of scratch all the different itches that come with development like this. And I think maybe next Thursday, we spend a little time mapping some stuff out. Like looking at what the, what's the area around the dragon look like, and start to kind of play around with the notion of scale and in addition to just scope. I think that's a big one too. And I think it'll help us wrap our mind around what some of these civilizations are and how they kind of interact with each other. And then also I think too, we talk about the dragon and it's really big. It's big. It's super big, but we should probably figure that out in our minds as it comes down to weights and measures, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We should have some metrics.
How many miles?
Yeah.
How many miles is this dragon?
Exactly.
Nose to tail.
So that's what we'll do. We will next Thursday will be devoted to maps and mapping things out. And
map.
We better have a battle map. I swear to God. No, I'm kidding.
Eventually, we will have a battle map as well. Yes.
Exactly. Well, awesome. This has been a ton of fun, and I know it gets kind of crunching, gets kind of nerdy, but that's the stuff I love. And I think this is a delightful process. And I keep promising that we'll share more opportunities for people to make decisions, but the outpost is going to be yours, friends. And the arbiters will own it. And with, of course, we'll have some veto power moments, of course. But I think overall, I think we're headed in a good direction. Any thoughts, friend, that you'd like to share, or things that you're kind of noodling on, concerns you might even have?
Oh, I have many things that are not going to fit in the show anymore since we're past closing time. But let's see. Oh goodness. I probably need to make a. I need to make. Yeah. I mean, I always have ideas.
Of course, yeah. More so, here's what we'll do. To open next Thursday, I really want you two to think about what we've got so far, and anything that you think may not serve the purpose as much. Let's like Marie Kondo these things and say, does it spark joy? Are there elements that I need to change or adjust, or even just, hey, I want more of this that we've done, so let's really, it's just, I think a gut check moment to kind of see, here's what we're making. Are there elements that are missing? Did we gloss over something, or did we plop an idea down in the middle of something that ended up maybe, turning things weird or whatever, so let's think about that, and let's take a critical eye, and then we'll dive into maps. Paul Rua is full of beans for sure.
Good.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be.
Well, hey friends, that will be that for this particular episode. Thank you both very much, and thank you, chat, for all of your great suggestions and ideas. I do so very much appreciate all of it. And but I have some things to share. One of them is. It's Get Tanked with Troy. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I'm like, what happened to Monday? That's tonight in just an hour. All you have to do is go to atomicthinktank.com, go to the events, and you will see a little live button blinking to get your attention. Get into the calendar, click on the meeting, and you will be transported as if by magic to the Zoom meeting where we all get together and we talk about lots of cool stuff with cool people. We often have special guests, and it's really a lot of fun, and you should join because it's just a cool place to hang out. In addition, we want to make sure that you know that you need to join the grad.
Please do.
That's right. It's the Green Ronin Atomic Assembly Discord, the official Discord of Green Ronin. You will find developers and fans and friends and folk that are just there to have fun. All the Fs. And Duke will drop the link to Discord, so join up there. And then again, I might as well just remind you about the Atomic Think Tank. The Atomic Think Tank is our community hub. It's a place for you to connect with people, to have a lot of fun, and you can connect with an event that's going on. You can get some free stuff from developers as they're sharing stuff. If you're an M&M fan, the hub is hopping. Lots of good stuff happening there across our entire ecosystem of titles and such. So yeah, do join. It's 3 quick questions, and you're in if you answer them right. It's not really a quiz so much as it is a don't be a jerk. Okay, great. You're in.
Hooray.
And easy as that. But yeah, this has been Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to do a quick assessment on how do we think things are? Where do we think we're going? And maps, which I'm really excited about. Finally, maps. My thanks again to our guests and to Chad as well. We will see you all next Thursday. Bye.
Bye, folks.